Hello and welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice CSGO B stream. My name is Elfish Guy, joined once again by PDG, and what a wonderful day we've had so far. Already seeing FaZe up against E-Frag, and it was a pretty dominating performance, of course, by FaZe, which is not necessarily unexpected. But now heading into this next game here between Tempo Storm and E-Frag, this one should be a little bit closer, Pete.
It should be a little bit closer, but I'm definitely just as keen to see Tempo Storm get their groove on and maybe get a really big win here. I had nothing against the E-Frag guys whatsoever, but I don't think they're long for this tournament. I think that they were very heavily impacted by Dreamer, their star player, not playing for them. I think that really hurt their chances in this tournament. However, saying that, Tempo Storm, a young, upcoming team with a huge amount of upside. The oldest player in their team, Henny, or Hen1. I'm not 100% sure on how that one goes, but for the purpose of this cast, I'll go with Henny.
Henny, yeah.
I think Henny is 20 years old, and he's the oldest player on Tempo Storm. So there's a huge upside to this team, and I'm really looking forward to them getting a land result and getting it under their belt.
Yeah, I mean, like there has been a lot of hype surrounding this team in the last few months. Obviously, they've been pulling up some pretty reasonable performances, and obviously, I guess, getting compared to their older and, I guess, more experienced cousins in Luminosity Gaming, obviously coming from the same region. But in the last few weeks, they haven't necessarily had the greatest performance. Obviously, they missed out on the major, so things have taken a little bit of a downturn, and so maybe that hype perhaps just going a little bit too high for what where they were sitting, I guess, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, the hype train for any Brazilian team is always real.
It certainly is.
Their fan base is not only a big fan base, but it's extremely fanatical about anything that they do. So it doesn't just extend to their esports teams. The Brazilians are fanatical about their football teams, volleyball teams, all that basketball teams, all that sort of stuff. So the fan base there is extremely supportive of Brazilian sports and esports, and that also extends to the players themselves. They have a very close working relationship with the guys from Luminosity. And actually, when you look back at the origins of both of these teams being Tempo Storm now and Luminosity, the players shared a common origin in the Kaboom lineup, which was a famous Brazilian upset team that came out of the region quite a while ago. Actually, Henny and Lucas came from that team, along with Fur, FNX, and also Fallen. So those guys made up that Kaboom team that caused a lot of upsets, and there was a big, well, not a big split, but I guess a divide, where half the players became Luminosity, the others Gamers Academy, which is now known as Tempo Storm.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be actually quite a good thing for these both these Brazilian sides, obviously having, I guess, the mateship and the backup from their, well, not necessarily, I was going to say opposing team, but in this sense, they're obviously in different brackets, so not yet are they opposing. Obviously, we'll see what happens as we head into the later stages of this tournament. So at the moment, I guess they're all mates and buddy-buddy, and they'll be able to back each other up and keep each other G'd up heading into, I guess, some of the more difficult matches that they are going to be seeing as the day proceeds.
Yeah, and look, when you look at the group, and the matches they face, I think Tempo Storm would look at this particular matchup as a winnable game for them.
Yeah.
Having, I guess, the support of their comrades as well. Obviously, Luminosity won't be allowed to be with them when they play due to the restrictions on where players are allowed. But looking at these groups, you can see Envious, Australis, Virtus Pro, FaZe, E-Frag, and of course Tempo Storm in this group. But what really strikes me there is you look at, that's basically how the teams are seeded as well. So if you look at those, look at the teams, obviously Tempo Storm's right at the bottom there, but very close to E-Frag. This is a winnable game for them, and they need to get their confidence going in order to at least challenge those other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly feel like Tempo Storm should have a pretty reasonable opportunity in this one at least. They did have some reasonably poor results against Flipside in the last week, but apart from that, they've been doing okay, and E-Frag obviously not necessarily one of those super fantastic tier 1 team. So obviously this is going to be their easiest game of the group, and to be able to sort of jump into that one early and get the nerves out of the way, that might be able to help them out a little bit further down the track.
Yeah, definitely. And when you say they were doing okay, they were on an enormous tear online. And this is really where this comes down to the nuts and bolts of where we are right now with this team. So to qualify for this Katowice tournament, they had to go through the Americas, so the North American scene, to get this invite. In the quarterfinals, they took down Team Liquid, so Hiko's team there, the big contender in NA. They took down CLG in the semi-finals, so the second big contender from North America. And then in the final, they took down Cloud9. So and these are all best of threes, so
Yeah.
there's no lucky best of one situation going on here. They've won 3 best of threes against the 3 top North American teams, won their way here. The unfortunate part about that is they then attended the MLG Last Chance Columbus qualifier, where they were unable to get over G2 in a close loss. It was 16-13 onto the favour of the French team G2. But then they got absolutely blown out of the water. When the pressure was on them the most, they needed to win the game. They lost 16-5, 16-5 to a flip side team that, yeah, they're a constant international team on the circuit, but they're not really a contending team. So they got bounced out of that pretty hard and caused the whole online versus LAN debate to get started once again for this group of players.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least for me, it certainly feels like Tempo Storm are kind of a dark horse in this group because there are some opportunities for them to be able to actually upset some of these teams here. E-Frag, we've already spoken about it being maybe a 50-50 matchup. Well, some things thereabouts, but maybe when they go up against Virtus Pro, obviously we've been seeing Virtus Pro not necessarily having the greatest performances of late. So there might be an opportunity there for them to be able to sneak in a best of 1 win, something like that. Obviously, Virtus Pro here have the hometown advantage. Also, it's going to be on LAN. So there are some different factors in that one compared to what Virtus Pro has been playing as online in the last few weeks. But regardless, again, Virtus Pro not necessarily looking as strong as they can. So Tempo Storm have a couple of opportunities here in this group to be able to upset some teams.
Oh, for sure. This is, as I look down the list of teams, this is just almost as if the 2 groups are, okay, these teams are all in form. So let's put them in Group A.
Yeah.
And these teams are all out of form. Let's put them back into Group B and see who comes out of what. Because you look at the teams in this list, as we just went through before, and E-Frag's out of form, Virtus Pro's out of form, NVS is out of form. We just saw a great game by FaZe there, but they're still unproven in terms of what they bring night in and night out, or competition in, competition out. So this is a really up-in-the-air group for me, and a great situation for Tempo Storm to be in. And I think that even if they don't come away with a whole lot of wins, I'm tremendously optimistic about this roster due to the age factor. A lot of great players there, and they're all so young, so good experience here.
Yeah, I mean, there is always that opportunity to, take 6 months or so to really start to develop as a side. We've seen a few teams starting to do that sort of thing. The likes of Renegades, not necessarily the youngest of sides in that aspect, but obviously a side that came from a lower tier region of Australia, have come up and gotten into that sort of upper echelon for the moment, at least. Luminosity Gaming as well, sort of a similar situation, coming from the bottom and rising up to the top. So obviously there is still, I guess, a lot of potential, as you say, in that side there for Tempo Storm. Yeah,
the potential's full. And I mean, as we go through the roster, I guess the number 1 player that sticks out for me is Henny. He's, for all intensive purposes, mini Fallen. He's certainly, I'm not trying to compare those two directly, because Fallen is obviously a proven LAN player with an incredible amount of skill. But Henny fills a similar role for his team. So he's the AWPer and also the in-game leader. And he's going to have a very heavy impact on whether or not they progress through this group. But they should have high expectations running into this tournament. And I think that having their friends there, being able to talk to them in between games, Henny being able to, I guess, talk to Fallen and the rest of those guys and reset mentally if they go through a difficult match, or even the other way, winning a big match and then getting that, big brother tap on the shoulder. Hey guys, you need to reset now. You need to refocus because it's only one game.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that sort of an aspect. Obviously, across the board, Tempo Storm have some pretty good-looking players, but, they've been hailed as sort of an up-and-coming team, as we kind of mentioned previously, and whether or not they're going to be able to, I guess, convert that, at least in this tournament, is the major question in sort of this matchup here, and also, I guess, in the group, because it can sort of affect how the upper end of that group as well is playing out.
Well, it's the battle for who can manage to come out of this group on top, basically, because you need to get that semi-berth right through. So the top, the top team that finishes in the group will go straight through to the semi-finals, with the second and third teams playing off against the second and third teams in the other group, the Group A. And of course, you don't want to have any part in versing the second and third seeds in that Group A, because we've got Fnatic and the likes of Na'Vi and the other team in that group, which is just fantastic. So they're going to come out, and it's going to be really, really difficult for whoever comes out of Group B to cross and get past the quarterfinals. But there's a lot to play for in this group, and hopefully all of these teams are playing really hard to get that #1 spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, why would you essentially be wanting to put yourselves into, I guess, an extra situation where you have to play more matches when you can just bypass it and get straight? I guess an extra situation where you have to play more matches when you can just bypass it and get straight into the semi-finals. That's basically the major take-home, I guess, from that point there. But I guess while we've got a little bit of downtime here, we might as well give a quick shout-out to our sponsors, of course, who this wouldn't be possible without. Obviously, Intel Extreme Masters, the Intel guy is going to be the big one there. And then we have, of course, Zowie coming up there as well to help us out. And the other ones, actually, that I want to make note of, G2A, you can win a gift card from them if you go to www.g2a.com/IEM_season_10, yeah. And you can grab yourself a nice gift card from them.
Yeah, so I guess what's gone a little bit unadvertised by the IEM tournament is this is actually the final stage of Season 10 of IEM. So this will be the last competition in IEM Season 10, and then they'll move on to Season 11 and it'll reset everything. So a great event to have the finale for almost all of the top teams in the world here battling out for supremacy in IEM Katowice. So yeah, it will be an extremely competitive group coming forward, but in particular, Tempo Storm have done a lot of, and they're coming up next, which is obviously why they're the focus of this pregame. But the Peacemaker is the coach of Tempo Storm, and he has a lot to do with the development of that talent, not just in game but out of game, making sure they're all the maturation process is taking place with these young guys and knowing what's expected of them. And I think we've got an interview here lined up with him.
Fallen has been helping us a lot, not only him but all the LG guys. I mean, they live across the street with us in California, Lancaster, and we always talk about Counter-Strike. We're sharing experience together, and they help us to improve a lot in the game. We feel pretty confident. I mean, we're still a new team. We've been together for like 3 months. We didn't practice a lot against European teams. We didn't have the opportunity yet. But I think that our style maybe are going to get them in trouble because we are aggressive and maybe they're not used to it. So we're confident. We're going to study our opponents. I mean, we still have to learn a lot, and that's our main goal for this tournament. I mean, learn a lot and improve as well. If you take a map against MVS, against Astralis or Virtus Pro, I mean, all the good teams that are in our groups, and they are definitely the favorites because of their experience. They've been together longer than us, so if you take maps against them and qualify from the groups, that's what I'm going to take home, and I'm going to be very happy.
Yeah, super interesting to hear the thoughts actually there from him. And you could sort of see that he was obviously pegging those top 3 teams as kind of the ones to watch, Envy, Astralis, and Virtus Pro. So importantly for Tempo Storm, I guess those are the guys that they're looking at. But for now, at least, they have to take away E-Frag. And one thing that I kind of want to mention in this sort of a sense is that obviously Tempo Storm is one of those newer teams, so there's not necessarily going to be as much material on them for these top teams to, I guess, anti-strat, counter-strat, whatever you want to call it. So perhaps there might be the opportunity for Tempo Storm to come into this one. And that's something that we've seen sort of these newer teams as well making use of. Obviously the Mongols, I think that might have helped them out in Taipei up against like some Renegades and Chiefs. And then obviously Luminosity had sort of that sort of an aspect earlier on in there, getting Ghost sort of, I don't know what I want to say, but like the rise of Luminosity in the start, that helped them out there. And Renegades as well, that was sort of an aspect of them way back when in sort of like Gfinity when they were taking on Fnatic and NIP.
Yeah, and I think that what I took out of that interview with Peacemaker is they're well aware of where they sit as a team. They're here at this tournament to gain experience. They've just, he's just said, the coach, you know, we're looking to get a map off these, the top teams in the group, so Virtus Pro, NVS, and also Astralis. So they're looking to get a map off them, but once again, they've referred to the fact that this is all about experience for them. They're such a young team, and they're going to find it difficult to compete against those teams, but as long as they play hard and they follow their game plan, that's very important. As long as they get through their game plan and not try and react as much as they can to what's going on in front of them from the other team, then they'll be best suited to try and take a win. But interestingly enough, I think we're into the pistol round here.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. Obviously, don't know who won the knife round, but I'm going to assume here that it was Tempo Storm because they're on the CT side. So, you know, why wouldn't you pick up the CT side when you're given the opportunity? You can already see a fair amount of utilities actually coming out on the side of Tempo Storm here. 2 grenades haven't yet been used, so a good opportunity to get a lot of damage across to the E-Frag guys.
Yeah, the E-Frag team, starting on the terrorist side, will make their way up Banana, but the bomb's just chilling in the middle of the map, so they're not too worried about committing anywhere just yet, but 4 players from Tempo Storm anchored towards that A bomb site, which is going to make life pretty difficult for E-Frag if they choose to take on that challenge.
Yeah, playing it pretty slow here actually is E-Frag, not really necessarily making any super aggressive movements towards either bomb side, but it seems like an A fake might be on the cards here, trying to get at least 1 frag here on the A bomb side before they pull all the stops on towards the B site. Tempo, though, haven't really fallen for it. They've only got those 2 players on the B bomb site, no one yet rotating across.
Yeah, 2 players still on that side of the map. Henny will engage the terrorists as they try and get through that CT arch. He will pick up the first one. Can he get the second? No. Spy Leader trading out there nicely, and now the terrorists are making their way on towards this B site.
Phelps not getting enough damage across there on the player that was crossing, and that's a little unfortunate for Tempo Storm. Now it's all down to Lucas holding in towards construction. The bomb should go down here, though, for E-Frag without too much trouble, and it's a 4 versus 4. The retake is coming on here for Tempo Storm. Unfortunately for E-Frag, they've lost a fair amount of damage as they entered in towards that site, so they are looking a little bit worse for wear. But having said that, Bubble will find 1 kill onto Bolt there, and now he's going to get the second one onto Showtime. A good response, though, from Phelps. Brings back 1. It's still a 3 versus 2, but this is entirely doable for Tempo Storm if they get a couple of quick frags, which it doesn't look like is going to be the case. Victor finding Lucas, and he also managed to find Phelps there, so the first pistol round will go to E-Frag.
Yeah, fantastic work from E-Frag there, taking control of the top mid area before eventually going aggressive on the CT side archers. But what was fantastic about their play was actually the fact they moved the attack back towards the B site and left Spy Leader cutting the map in half, forcing the rotation to come in at varied degrees of speed from Tempo Storm. Really threw off their tempo and slowed the game down. E-Frag there coming away with the pistol win.
Yeah, they've got a force up here, though, on the side of Tempo Storm, so they feel, obviously, that they can get something out of this round at the very least. Lucas, though, opting not to buy much at all.
Yeah, he hasn't really purchased, but that's okay, because he's probably going to look for the AWP for Henny eventually. It does look to be the case, so not too much concern there, as Tempo Storm has that scout in hand and on Phelps, and he'll try and spot out 1 at the bottom of Banana, but E-Frag doing their thing, just holding passively on the map and letting Tempo Storm push into their crosshairs.
Yeah, I mean, there's not necessarily the opportunity here for Tempo Storm to really go super aggressive. They, of course, only have really that 1 utility to work with in the smoke there. We have seen the first kill, though, going to Phelps, so making good use of that scout. Henny, he's going to spot out 1, but takes a fair amount of damage for his trouble there. Spy Leader dropped down to 80, but that's really not the result that Tempo Storm would have wanted. Still, they have the 5 versus 4 here, so if they can trade effectively, as E-Frag try to make their way across the map, they might be able to grab something out of this round.
Yeah, but they'll need to move pretty quickly. E-Frag here, there's only 30 seconds left, and they're pretty much stuck fighting a battle in CT spawn. As Spy Leader eventually picks up Phelps, and Punisher takes down Showtime, as well as Henny making his way back around. So it was looking a bit shaky there for a while for E-Frag, but they're going to eventually make their way into B, get that bomb down, and cruise their way on through to a 2-1 scoreline here. It's all left up to Lucas.
Yeah, and I mean, really, he might as well just try and go for an exit kill here. There's a couple of low plays for E-Frag, which I'm sure has been communicated to him. He picks up the first one there onto Punisher, and actually he's going to be able to duel up against Spy Leader here, so he finds a second kill. Really quite a, I guess, expensive round so far here for E-Frag, and you can see Lucas has managed to retrieve that scout as well, so that'll bode well for them heading into this next round. Actually managed to swap it out for a Glil, so even better. Yeah,
brilliant pickup there from Tempo Storm. Lucas able to survive, getting that headshot through the corner of the truck. Victor and Bubble will fall back down Banana to avoid fighting the Tempo Storm remaining player Lucas with that Galil and the 5-7, but he manages to hold on to a rifle and a pistol, so he'll be able to drop one or the other to one of his teammates and I guess get a bit of a free option there for the lucky member, which will be Phelps.
Alrighty, so not looking like we're going to be seeing another force coming out here from Tempo Storm, which is probably a wise decision here, Pete.
Definitely a wise decision from Tempo Storm, and something that we probably won't see mirrored by their counterparts E-Frag, who are just buy crazy. They will use every opportunity to spend all of their money and try and make every round work with limited resources, but at the moment they're not stuck in that situation just yet. They're going to grab control of Banana, but once again, not force anything too quickly. Just try and clear that area and get some map control.
Yeah, I mean, they have managed to do that. They've got good control up towards the top of Banana here, but Lucas is going to slow things down here with the smoke. Actually pops around the corner and is able to pick up Spy Leader there. So a good start again in this round here for Tempo Storm, and that's the Galil being used quite effectively there for them. But E-Frag now know exactly where that weapon is, so perhaps now they might want to rotate across towards the A-bomb side or something like that.
Well, definitely Lucas has decided that because he's found a kill at B onto the E-Frag players, he thinks they're going to fall back to A, but of course Henny knows better now as the E-Frag guys move in towards the B bomb site. Flashes, Molotovs and smokes will aid their entry into this one, but Henny finds a kill onto the back of NKL's head, and now it's just a 3 versus 4, but it'll turn into a 5 versus 2, actually, as Victor and Bubble are left to defend against 5 players from Tempo Storm. Yeah,
looking very good here for Tempo Storm at the moment, but still a couple of players to contend with from the side of E-Frag. Bubble, very close to picking up a kill here. A reasonable crossfire coming out from E-Frag, but we're going to need to see Victor come in here to support his teammate. A couple of quick kills go in their favor. Now it's down to Victor in a 1 versus 3, but the bomb timer is ticking very quickly, and no kit on the side of Tempo Storm. This is all over, and that was a really great hold there for E-Frag.
Yeah, fantastic play there from Victor. If you do want one player alive on E-Frag, it would be Victor. He's the absolute best player in this team now that Dreamer hasn't made the journey with them to Katowice due to just not being available. He's got a ban, I'm pretty sure, so previously, unfortunately, so he's not able to play. But in saying that, Punish has done a good job stepping in, and Victor there providing the triple kill and also the round closure for E-Frag.
Yeah, you can see Henny here has managed to pick up the AWP, actually playing it over towards the B bomb site, so Banana going to be locked down by him, and fortunately, at least for E-Frag, they've decided not to really go towards that direction this time, opting more towards the apartments and the A bomb site.
Yeah, they'll just quietly make their way into second mid, but Henny on patrol with that AWP, and Nana will put the pressure on. You can see him pushing down here. He's found one in the scope, but the acrobatic terrorist jumps towards the T-stairs, and now Henny will say, enough of this nonsense. I'm going to smoke you off and make you go towards aim. That's exactly what the terrorists plan on doing.
Certainly is. They're going to make their way quickly out in towards the site. It is Spy Leader leading the charge. Goes down straight away to Showtime, who actually finds a double kill, but Victor and NKL in response will pick up one apiece. Lucas does manage to trade out NKL, and then Victor in response to that managed to find Lucas. And lots of trades going across here, Pete, but in the end, it is going to be Tempo Storm coming out just ahead. Now in a 1 versus 2 situation, but the bomb is down here for E-Frag, and Victor has a reasonable amount of utilities to work with, gets the smoke down and the grenade, which actually does a reasonable amount of damage to Tempo Storm there. So this is a very, very dangerous situation for them. Both coming from the same direction as well, so Victor really ready for this, looking at the correct angle, and this is going to be Phelps peeking in towards him, but wow, nice shot coming out. Victor not managing to get any more damage across, and the bomb will be defused. First round on the board for Tempo.
Yeah, Victor had him, I thought, completely booked there. So
yeah.
The Tempo Storm player Phelps, known for his explosive entry fragging, putting that to good use. They're taking down Victor, who had a fantastic angle and actually a really good idea of where both of them were coming. He wasn't even concerned about the directions behind him or to the side. He knew exactly where both of them were, so well played there by Victor, but Phelps making him pay, taking him down and winning that round. So Tempo Storm on the board as they move into the 5th round.
Both teams have a bye. Neither team has a perfect bye, but certainly serviceable buys here. Henny is going to spot out one play, but doesn't manage to land the shot there. Important play really coming out in the favour of Tempo Storm there. So it's still 5 apiece, and Victor has got some pretty good control up towards the top of Apps here, but he is going to go down as he enters on towards Balcony. A double kill comes out for the Tempo Storm guys, but a double kill in response for E-Frag, and there's going to be the first one to, I guess, gain the player advantage. 3 versus 2 now in the favour of E-Frag as they will get the bomb down on that A-bomb site. Lucas and Phelps now have the duty of retaking that site on. I'd say this is going to be an almost impossible task. Though, having said that, they do have a reasonable amount of utilities to work with, but they are playing reasonably slowly as well, so it's not looking too great for them here.
Yeah, they should definitely look to save this one and live to see another day, fall back and try and make the next round work, because it's so early on in the match they don't have to force anything here, but it looks as though they're still interested in making their way into this bomb site. Phelps gets the first one, but I think the time is going to be of the essence here. They've cleaned up house. I don't know how, but the E-Frag players have completely thrown that round away. They did not expect, I don't think, the Tempo Storm retake to come in. And what a fantastic round by the Brazilian team. The young players will have got a lot of confidence from that retake, and that'll bode well for them moving forward as they get their second CT round consecutively.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty crazy round coming out from Tempo Storm. I didn't really expect them to pick that one up, but as a result of it, E-Frag are going to be forced onto a force-up here, I think they have. Yeah, so Tech 9's and Armor. Looking pretty okay, at least, but we'll see if they can make good use of it as they head in towards the banana area. A good grenade here coming out from Tempo Storm would do a lot of damage.
Oh, I'm absolutely shocked right now. E-Frag, force buying?
No.
I'm just taken aback. I'm not sure exactly what's going on right now, but obviously a bit of sarcasm coming in there as E-Frag predictably force buy, and they're going to try and make this one work. Phelps getting the double, possibly even a triple. No, that's Lucas chiming in with his second one as well, and now Bubble will be left all alone in a 4 versus 1. He'll get taken down instantly. Phelps with the tray there on the B side, and E-Frag, surprisingly, force buying there into a Tech 9, getting demolished at B, and let's have a quick look at what they're going to do this round. Oh, they've gone for another limited resource buy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's certainly, obviously, what we expected to see coming out from them, so no surprises here. And this is not necessarily going to lend itself to the greatest of rounds here for E-Frag, but they certainly have the utilities and the weapons that they need. They have a couple of smokes there and a few flashbangs as well, so an opportunity for an execute somewhere, but they have used one of those smokes to get in towards mid. So already one of those very precious utilities used up early in the round.
Yeah, they've only got 2 smokes here for 1 and 30 minutes left on the round to try and make something happen. You can see Henny here just pretty interested in patrolling this banana area all by himself. Look at this aggression from Henny. Single scoped in, just pushing so confidently down banana, getting that spot out, but he won't find anybody. Bubble's just fighting mid. NKL's watching the banana push from very defensively, and Tempo Storm just slowing this one down, giving E-Frag nothing, and I think the longer they survive, they know E-Frag's tendency to force buy. They'll know they'll be short on utility, so Tempo doing a great job here, slowing it down and trying to make E-Frag use that utility early.
Henny, though, might be able to find one here. The flashbang comes out, but not going to be doing too much there as we'll be able to cross safely anyway, and it is now Tempo Storm having to gain control of this A-bomb site, try and defend it.
Yeah, but there's just no pressure on B at all from E-Frag. This is so telegraphed, it's not funny. They're just going to group up A. Henny's had control of B for over a minute now, and it's going to have to be the T's coming in, but somehow Phelps is caught off guard by Victor, and he's already racing into CT spawn. So great play here from E-Frag, but Henny will be aware of the danger, and he's going to make his way back towards the B site. But unfortunately for him, E-Frag have decided to come back towards A, and with 18 seconds to go, Bolts is still on the site, could make this work for Tempo Storm. Yeah,
he has been spotted out here, though, so E-Frag are going to be able to take him out. No troubles at all. NKL picking that kill up. Henny, though, will probably be able to save this AWP somewhere in towards the T-spawn.
Yeah, he's going to back away from that A-bomb site and save it, but for me, that was a must-win round for Tempo Storm. The attack came into the A-bomb site. All 5 members were there. Henny had the spot down banana for over a minute, as I said. They had almost complete idea of where the E-Frag players were and just not able to make the shots in the end, but still a decent read there coming out from Tempo Storm, just not able to make the kills.
Yeah, this is not good news at all either for Tempo Storm here. We can see Henny has been spotted out, and they are going to be trying to hunt him, obviously trying to get that AWP out of his hands. Does miss the first couple of shots, and that will be his undoing. So a good kill for E-Frag, getting that AWP out of the hands, very crucial.
Very crucial indeed, but Tempo Storm do have enough to make this work if they really want to go down the E-Frag road of buying up, and they will. So I don't mind this so much from Tempo Storm because they know that E-Frag also doesn't have the strongest economy at the moment, so they're pushing to minimize the advantage that E-Frag will get potentially in this round. But I really like what E-Frag are doing at the moment. I do think they need to put a little bit more pressure on Banana, but however, their A takes look crisp and clean.
Yeah, they certainly do. They've been doing some good work on that side, but at the moment it seems like, as you mentioned, they are starting to put a little bit more pressure on towards Banana, so taking heed of that advice from you, perhaps.
Yeah, just channeling my inner caster from their double headphone situations in their booths they're playing in, but Phelps able to push out there onto Victor and open it up for Tempo Storm, so fantastic start to the round, and he's really going to be a crucial player for them. We know there's big raps on Henny, but Phelps is the second guy for this Tempo Storm team that has a huge upside due to his entry fragging ability, and he displayed it well there on the CT side.
Yeah, even with only just that 5-7, so making good use of I guess, a lesser weapon. Tempo Storm, of course, only have got a few rifles across the board, but E-Frag already that player down. So this is going to be a pretty interesting situation. The balance really, I guess, sort of balanced. I don't know where I was going with that, but regardless, the entry is going to come in towards that B bomb site here for E-Frag. A good Molotov is going to force Phelps out, and he gets taken down actually by the fire there, but they don't know that Lucas is here. He should pick up at least one frag. Not quite going to get the shots across, though, as Spy Leader does manage to take him down. Now Bubble on fire. Ooh, pushing into the banana. Picks up one, gets traded out, but really not a good result at all there for Tempo Storm in that disadvantaged player position. And it's a 3 versus 2 now.
Yeah, once again, Tempo Storm pushing for this round, and although they were able to pull that 3 versus 2 out of the fire last time, will they be able to do it again? Oh my goodness, Showtime picking up a Molotov kill, and also that M4 spray down, and it's all going to be left up to Showtime with 3 bullets. He'll click the reload, but he's running out of time ever so quickly, and he's going to have to get this kill to come in pretty soon. Great job there by Spy Leader, and the bomb's just too far away, I feel. I think he might have got there just in time. And the bomb will be defused as about to explode. So once again, Tempo Storm completely pulling that round out of the fire. And after a beautiful execute there from E-Frag, the Molotovs and the smokes really working for them. But the defending of their bomb plants has been very ordinary from E-Frag.
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, they've been allowing Tempo Storm to get into this game. And I guess across the board, though, for E-Frag, the scoreline is 4-4. Is not necessarily too bad after 8 rounds. Having said that, though, they did pick up the pistol round, so that was kind of 3 rounds on the board, which were necessarily easier than they should have been. So, not going to read into it too much just yet, but I don't necessarily feel this is too bad for E-Frag.
It's not too bad because they're only 4-4 down, but you can't afford to throw T rounds in the bag away. Inferno is such a hard map to get rounds on the board on the terrorist side of things, and if you're right there in those 3 versus 2 situations with the bomb plant down, very little opportunity, you expect to close at least one of those rounds out, and that's really going to hurt E-Frag moving forward. If they can't get their T side going now, they'll look back on those rounds with a bit of dismay.
Good aggressive positioning there from Bolts. Is going to find him 1 kill, but not going to be able to get out in time. Gets traded out by Punisher, and back to a 4 versus 4 situation, which should theoretically favor the E-Frag guys.
In theory it should, but just the Galil on Bubble, which is not fantastic news for him, but of course E-Frag using all of their economy once again as Tempo Storm do the same. 2 Famishes there. This one's going to go right down to the wire. 40 seconds remaining. They are going to be focused on this A hit, and only 2 members of Tempo Storm will be there to defend.
Yeah, it will be a pretty big task for these 2 players. Obviously, 4 versus 2. Not the greatest odds here for Tempo Storm, but you can see that rotator coming across from the CT area. That is going to be Phelps playing in Arch. Manages to drop the bomb as well. A crucial frag in the favor of Tempo Storm there. And Henny will pick around the corner as well to find Bubble. It's looking like Showtime will find another kill and going for the second spray down. He'll be able to land it as well. Much better result there in that round there for Tempo Storm. 4 guns left on the board.
Fantastic. Not only did they pick up those, they survived with 4 members, but they also picked up an AK or 2. So that's fantastic news. Not only did they stay alive to improve their money, they got a free upgrade. And it looks as though there's a tech pause coming out here because one of the players on E-Frag has timed out, but he's already rejoined the server, so that problem shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't cause too much of a delay. But for me, at the moment, E-Frag will be absolutely kicking themselves at those 2 rounds because this definitely could turn into an 11-4 score in terms of Tempo Storm closing this one out. And every single time that Tempo Storm win one of these disadvantaged situations, it not just helps them in this match, but this is what they're at this tournament for. This is the whole reason they're here. This experience in these situations where it's not favorable, able to pull those rounds out of the bag and make sure that they can continuously put pressure on the scoreboard, and Lucas does just that by taking down Spy Leader early. Yeah,
I actually really like that grenade use from Lucas, popping it down in towards the drain to I guess mask his movement in towards the bottom of mid is the word that I'm looking for. So really nice work from him. Obviously we've seen a couple of quick kills going to either side, and Victor has managed to find himself an AK. So an opening in this round here for E-Frag if they can find something, but Lucas will pick up Punisher. The bomb is down, but Victor in a 2 versus 1 situation has managed to close out one of those kills. Now getting a lot of damage across to Phelps, and both these players from Tempo Storm need to be so careful because they are very, very dangerous on the HP front, and actually it is going to be Victor closing it out there with a double kill. Actually, it was a 3 versus 1 to start off there, so really nice individual performance from him.
He gets a 4 kill in that round, as well as a 3 versus 1 at the end, and where the hell would E-Frag be without Victor right now? He's won 2 3 versus 1s on top of the 2 rounds that they've lost in the 3 versus 2 situation. So had Victor not been able to clutch 2 3 versus 1s, we could be looking down the barrel here of a much worse scoreline for E-Frag, even though they've actually played really, really well. They've managed on those gun rounds to put great amounts of pressure on Tempo Storm, but they've got little to no reward for it at the moment. Yeah,
this will be an eco round coming out from Tempo Storm, though. Obviously, E-Frag were able to pick up the last eco round that they did, so opportunity abound here for Tempo Storm, but they don't have a huge amount of utilities to work with. A couple of smokes to slow things down for E-Frag, but once those have dissipated, they'll just be relying purely on those pistols, which is never a result that you would want here if you were Tempo Storm.
Yeah, E-Frag starting to really settle into their T side, and once again, even though they've lost those rounds, they're able to rely on Victor to pull them out of the fire a couple of times. That'll give them confidence. Every round that Victor can do that, when your star player starts playing at a really high level, then I guess you get more confidence as a team, as Showtime picks up a double there. So pressure here on E-Frag as the collapse comes in from Tempo Storm, and he's actually going to pick up a triple in this round and now escape away through the archers. But E-Frag finding the plant here, and once again, Victor in that position in the pit. He's already got 2 frags. Could he go for another team down and yet another 3 versus 1 clutch?
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Obviously, the man of the moment still alive. That is going to be the important player here. Victor will look to find his first frag there. There we go. He's going to pick that one, actually his 3rd, but you know what I mean. First of the retake as the Molotovs come across there as well. And now, just slowing things down there for Tempo Storm is that Molotov, and obviously the ever-present threat here that is Victor in pit. It doesn't seem like they're too keen to try and take on that duel. They don't know at all where Punisher is, and he's going to find himself an easy frag as that bomb ticks away, and we will see that final remaining player for Tempo Storm, Lucas, deciding that he wants to perhaps save that AK instead of charge into the fire and flames.
Yeah, great work once again there from Victor, picking up another triple kill and closing out that round for E-Frag. And I mean, he's on 15 kills. The next best is Bubble on 10. But after that, NKL, Punisher, and Spy Leader all on 5. So Victor tripling the output of 3 of his teammates at the moment, and having a decent lead on Bubble as well. So it's all about Victor at the moment for E-Frag, and he's doing a fantastic job pulling this team, kicking and screaming to a 6-5 lead on the terrorist side of Inferno, and Spy Leader opening there onto Phelps. Great headshot, but Lucas replies with a grenade kill.
4 versus 4, but only one player on that B bomb site. A good smoke coming out there from Lucas. But they're going to be meeting each other. What? Is he on his head?
No, he was on the top of the wagon next to him, but Lucas unable to connect onto any opponent. NKL swindling through the smoke there. E-Frag have completely overrun this B side, and without the miraculous retake once again from the Brazilians, they're looking down the barrel of a 7th round going against them on this side.
A reasonable grenade coming out there and a reasonable Molotov, but obviously not going to be followed up upon by Tempo Storm as they opt to try and save here, which is probably the right decision here.
Definitely the right decision for Tempo Storm. They will be licking their wounds, but 3 rifles up, so they've got a silenced M4A1S, a M4A4, and an AK-47, so 3 great rifles being able to be implemented next round, and they should be able to force by potentially a 5.7 or a FAMAS, depending on how much money is on everyone when the round starts. Let's have a quick look at how this one will break down. Yeah, the FAMAS drops will probably come in from Showtime and potentially Henny, but it depends how the breakdown goes. Yeah, there's one FAMAS going out and the second one being dropped. So a complete gun around here for Tempo Storm, but it's going to be, I guess, with those 2 FAMASes and limited resources, it's going to be hard for them to keep defending these situations that E-Frag are forcing upon them due to the consistent map pressure. Aside from the first few rounds where they left Banana alone, the map pressure's been good and they've been able to execute onto whichever site they want.
This will be a really crucial passage of play now for Tempo Storm. Obviously, they're down 5 and 7. They can still win the half, but even an 8-7 scoreline is not going to be that fantastic. But they certainly don't want to let E-Frag get any more rounds here on their T side than they have to, because coming back on the Tempo Storm's T side is going to be quite difficult.
It will be very difficult for Tempo Storm, and getting Inferno and starting on CT side, I think this was their best chance of really putting their best foot forward and trying to come away with the win against E-Frag in the first round. But of course, we can't count out the Tempo Storm T side. We're yet to see what they have in store for us. But at the moment, the advantage side here on counter-terrorist not going their way. E-Frag managing to pick up 7 rounds thus far, and once again looks to exploit this A-bomb site.
Yeah, and as we mentioned previously, their A-bomb site takes have been quite impressive. We'll see how it works out for them in this situation. Henny having to be forced back in towards Arch, in towards CT perhaps even more so, as those guys from E-Frag start to make their way in towards the A-bomb site. The smoke's coming across as well. Going to really restrict the positioning here of the guys from Tempo Storm, and you can see E-Frag already getting some great control over across the A-bomb site, but not yet getting that bomb down.
Yeah, and there's only 24 seconds left, so they're really going to have to fight to get this bomb down, because they could time themselves out here. Bubble actually picking up bolts and Spy Leader chipping in there onto Showtime, so they will get this bomb down in the end, but it's a 3 versus 4 situation. And Tempo Storm once again just being too passive, relinquishing too much control to E-Frag and paying the price.
Yeah, certainly interesting that you mentioned that. We'll talk about that a little bit after this round. Lucas is going to find the first kill there onto NKL on this retake. Now a 3 versus 3 situation, entirely doable for Tempo Storm, but no utilities to work with. They do, however, have a couple of kits. So if they pick up a quick kill, they might be able to go for something, but with that kill there from Spy Leader, I would expect that they're probably not going to be too keen to really try anything else out here. It's Henny in a 1 versus 2, but he's going to opt to go and try and save. Obviously, you just mentioned there that they were playing pretty defensively, and in the interview that we saw with Tempo Storm before the match, they actually said that they were an aggressive team. So, you know, maybe time to change things up, get that little bit of aggression coming out on this game. We did see it a little bit from Henny with that AWP in towards the banana area, pushing down quite aggressively. But aside from that, across the board, Tempo Storm have been quite defensive.
Well, great pickup there on the banana push from Henny, because since he stopped doing that, Tempo Storm have had real issues holding on to their sites. So their control of banana has been relinquished, and Henny was so aggressive with that AWP, it was forcing E-Frag out. And now you can see there the Molotov going onto the car, and the pressure not being applied here by Tempo Storm. They're just happy to sit back and, I guess, give E-Frag their choice of what they want to do. And realistically, because of how much information they're giving E-Frag and how little they're getting themselves, a lot of the times when these hits are coming in from E-Frag, Tempo Storm has no idea where they're coming from and which bomb sites to even expect to hit. So they're playing behind the 8-ball from before the attack even comes in.
And once again, you can see them playing reasonably defensively. Lucas has got some decent positioning up in towards banana, but you know, not as aggressive as we mentioned Henny was before. And obviously I want to say almost a force buy. There's a couple of bits of armor on the side of Tempo Storm, but really it's not a very good buy at all. They're going to have to try and pull this one out of the Fire and Flames.
Yeah, that's just Henny saving that AK and trying to make that work for him. But you can see he's already sustained so much damage, and that grenade from Spy Leader will find its target. Henny goes down, and now all of a sudden you can see the E-Frag guys with all this control. One punishes the top mid, but the attack will come back to the B-bomb site.
Yeah, I was going to say Bolt's in an interesting position, might be able to find one. Indeed he did. NKL though will respond onto Lucas. And now the B-bomb site take, as you mentioned, is coming into effect here for the guys from E-Frag. A good spam through the smoke from Bubble. He's going to find one, but he gets traded out with another spam through the smoke from Showtime. And now a 2 versus 3 retake. But again, the E-Frag guys reasonably low on the HP front. So there is another slim opportunity here for Tempo Storm to be able to retake this.
Yeah, we've seen this movie before, haven't we? 3 versus 2. E-Frag with the bomb down, trying to hold that side. I guess Victor's up, and he's got an 87 HP and an AK, so you kind of assume that he's going to be able to come out on top of this one as he takes down Bolts, and the last member of Tempo Storm will be trapped on those coils, and he'll go down to NKL after just popping up on top there. So the 9th round, my apology, goes the way of E-Frag on their T side, and they're looking the goods, but they really need to close out this round. And I guess, from my perspective, having seen so much of E-Frag in the Counterpit series, I always have my hesitations about closing the book on games that they're in because of their approach to the game. A lot of force buying, and this can cause them, in parts, to really have problems being consistent throughout the match. So whilst they're ahead now, they're going to have to keep control of their money if they want to keep control of the game. All
right, that's an important frag here for Tempo Storm. The first one going in their favor, not something that we've seen in the last few rounds. E-Frag, of course, has been getting a lot of those entry kills. And now Henny with a good opportunity to get a second one, which he will be able to execute as well. Spy leader going down to 3 versus 5, and you'd have to say surely from this position, Tempo Storm heading towards their 6th round.
Yeah, finally, Henny putting that AWP pressure back on Banana and shutting E-Frag down just a little bit, but you can see still how hesitant Tempo Storm are to really try and push out down Banana and take control of that even further. So the A-hit's going to come here, and it's going to be a 3 versus 3 battle, which actually suits E-Frag quite well.
Yeah, it certainly will, but Phelps will find one there onto NKL with the molly. Bolts is going to find one as well onto Punisher, and there you go. The final frag of the first half goes to Showtime, 6-9. The scoreline in the favor of E-Frag, so not a very fantastic first half from Tempo Storm at all.
They will be disappointed with how this one finished up for them. Only 6 rounds on the CT side, but at the same time there was a lot of positives that came out of that one, particularly that some of their retakes on the CT side were fantastic. And to be honest, for a team that's coming in purely for the experience and to get more games under their belt and to aid their maturation process as a team and help their strategy along, I think they're getting a lot out of this game, and hopefully they'll be able to take out the pistol and really push themselves through this game, but then also perhaps even through the tournament if they're able to get some luck.
This is a pretty interesting buy coming out from Tempo Storm. A lot of utility on their side.
Yeah, a couple of smokes there. So we know that basically this is going to be a B hit because the smokes will dictate probably that to be the case. There's not a lot you can do with 2 smokes, but the grenade finds Spy Leader right at his feet. Lucas picks up the first kill. And I guess statistically speaking from here on out, Tempo Storm are 80% likely to win this one as the smokes come into CT spawn and also the coils area. Victor spotting over, but Tempo Storm rolling into that B-bomb side.
Yeah, that was a really nice use of that double grenade, obviously getting them that first kill in the round and now allowing them to get on towards this site. Now they've got the smokes there, slowing things down a little bit here for E-Frag on the retake, just restricting the vision on towards that B-bomb site, but Victor still hanging around, being a little bit of a thorn in their side. Not yet really doing a whole lot of damage, though. The flashbang will come out, and he's going to try and make his way on towards the site. He's going to get tagged down to 10 HP, and actually Punisher gets taken out as well as NKL. And this is looking very good for Tempo Storm. Now Bubble on Fire, the only player left alive for E-Frag, and they're actually going to try and knife him. They might get it. They will. Phelps picking that one up, getting a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah, getting that dank bank from that dank shank.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
Phelps getting it done, getting that knife kill. He's got $4,750, so he could buy a glass AWP.
Wouldn't be
the best idea, obviously, but an insane amount of money for that knife kill coming out there for the terrorists. And Tempo Storm, I think because of the young nature of their team, the more that they're enjoying the game and having fun with it, I think the better that they will play. They'll be a very emotional team due to the age, so very volatile in terms of their emotional state, very up and down. However, in the case of winning a pistol round and getting a knife kill, that'll bode really well for them. And I just want to point out again, having no Dreamer for E-Frag is a real problem because they're lacking firepower at the moment.
Look at the economy.
The Tempo Storm guys, even though they're young and inexperienced, they have a lot of aim and talent on their side, and there's just not enough fragging here from E-Frag when at the bomb site defenses. So Victor can only be at one spot at a time, and he's the only one that's put up any kind of real resistance throughout the match. Whereas if you have Dreamer and Victor in the team, you can put one of those players at each bomb site and really shore up your defenses. At the moment, E-Frag just struggling a little bit with that skill level and being able to execute the frags.
Yeah, it's going to be pistols across the board there for E-Frag, just 3 of them. And of course the rifles that they were able to save. So really not the buy that E-Frag would have wanted, facing down this 14th or 15th round potentially, I guess, on the board for Tempo Storm. But of course, you know, the masters of the force buys, E-Frag, we'll see what they can pull out here.
Yeah, definitely. E-Frag getting those 2 pistols up as well as the 2 saved rifles. And Tempo Storm actually taking hard horse control there. Lucas has been lurking around that mid and boiler section, but he's usually been on the lurk coming back towards me at the moment. Tempo Storm not making any sort of decision just yet. The bomb is down and they're waiting for those pistols to reveal themselves from E-Frag.
It's really interesting for me here actually that E-Frag have decided to put both the rifles on the A bomb site, not really putting one on the B bomb site. So they've only got that one player on B and he's only got a pistol to work with. So that's a bit of a risk, but it seems to be paying off here as Tempo Storm aren't really pressuring that B bomb site.
Yeah, they know they've got such a small chance of winning this round generically, E-Frag, with 2 B and 3 at A, trying to hold on against all the powerful weapons that Tempo Storm have. They've just basically said, well, if they go B, that's fine, but we're going to make the gamble that they're going to come towards A and run into our 4-stack. And look at NKL pushing out mid, but Showtime equal to the challenge there, taking out NKL. And this looks as though it's bad news here for E-Frag, as every time they've gone down the first kill, they've struggled to win the round. And Victor picks up Lucas, but he, once again, will be on the lurk. And Phelps takes down Spy Leader, and they're going to roll into this B bomb site.
Yeah, 3 versus 4 retake the situation here for E-Frag, and they must make this work. It's going to be so difficult because obviously Tempo Storm, plenty of time to get that bomb down. They've got the smoke there in CT as well, and they have great post-plant positions. This is going to be almost impossible for E-Frag. You can see Bubble already down to 12 HP, Punisher down to 49, but that's a good grenade. Showtime going down, but there is a trade out in response for Tempo Storm there. Victor now, he's going to have to be the man of the moment once again for E-Frag on 100 HP with that AK. He will have to come up huge here. He's got the backup of Bubble on Fire, who's actually got some reasonable positioning up towards Coils. And Victor is going to peek in, but he gets taken down immediately there by Phelps. Bubble does get the trade out. It's a 1 versus 2, but you can see Tempo Storm just playing this one to perfection, not peeking at all. And Henny will close out that round there in the favor of Tempo Storm. So 15 on the board for them now.
Yeah, brilliant aggression there. Midway through that bomb plant defense, Phelps actually decided to push through the smoke and catch one of the CTs off guard. And that really changed the dynamic of that round for me. Victor then was the only one left with any sort of health to work with, and the round went the way of Tempo Storm. But brilliant individual instinctual play there from the Tempo Storm player Phelps, and he rises very quickly to the top of the scoreboard, and it looks a very attractive one at the moment for Tempo Storm. Lucas going absolutely huge, Henny pitching in with that AWP, and Phelps, the aimer entry fragger, doing a fantastic job. And it's all going to be on E-Frag here with just 1 shotgun and 4 pistols to try and get their way back into this game.
All right, well, they do find the first, second, and third frag, courtesy of Punisher. That's a nice little bit of a work from him. NKL will chime in as well with 1, and this is not looking too great at all for Tempo Storm. Down to Henny with that AWP, but he does have a few guys to face up against, and he's down to 24 HP. They all have pistols, and there is that 1 Mag 7 on Bubble, but you'd have to say Tempo not in a position to really close out this round. No,
Tempo Storm Henny is going to have to prove that he's the mini Fallen for a reason, as he flashes out and spots 1 out, and he's just going to try and make his way into that pit, but on 24 HP and with the AWP in hand, he also might look to just try and get as many kills as he can to make sure that the economy for E-Frag moving into the next round is as short as it possibly can be. He hears a couple of bullets ring out, but isn't exactly sure of just where they are yet. Spy Leader will spot out the gun barrel there, take him down. Bubble was behind anyway. Probably a good thing he died. He was going to get knifed by the looks of things, but Tempo Storm still on, with 3 match points and E-Frag to defend these ones.
Well, this is a little bit dangerous here for Tempo Storm because they've really allowed E-Frag back into that economic situation. You could see E-Frag struggling for weapons, but now in this round, obviously winning that last eco round, they've been giving themselves enough money to really buy up here, and that's going to make things 10 times more difficult for Tempo Storm. So if this goes to 15-15, I'd say Tempo Storm will definitely be ruining that opportunity.
Yeah, but so will E-Frag, because they've lost a bunch of rounds in this game that they think they could have won. So this is a really, really tight battle shaping up here, and Tempo Storm wanting to get their first really good land result on paper and move their team forward, as you see Bubble just scoping out in mid, and Henny's just crouched on the other side of the wall, but obviously with the X-ray capabilities of Spectator, we're able to see the AWP battle that's about to ensue, and Bubble on Fire will win that one, taking down Henny, and all of a sudden the advantage is back with E-Frag.
Certainly is, and well, could this be the beginning of the comeback here for E-Frag? Obviously, they need to pick up 3 in a row to bring it to 15-15, but Tempo Storm already looking a little bit shaky in this round, losing that first player. The AWP is still in the play, though, on the side of Phelps, so the pick opportunities for Tempo Storm still going to be strong as they make their way towards the B-bomb site through Banana.
Yeah, and it's going to be on the E-Frag star player Victor to defend this B push, but 3 terrorists making their way up there, just ever so slightly nosing their way into the site. There's only 35 seconds to go, so they're going to have to make something work pretty quickly here. Victor's got a great point of view, but he goes down to Bolton. Could this be the beginning of the end? Spy Leader picking up the first one. He's going to have to do more. Gets a second and a third, and shuts that opportunity down. And now Showtime's in a 3 versus 1. He won't even get around the corner. Brilliant play there from the in-game leader of E-Frag, Spy Leader. And whilst Tempo Storm can get through this one, potentially with the bye, they should probably look to force pistols and make sure that last gun round's a good one, and that's exactly where they're going.
Yeah, so really smart play here from Tempo Storm. They had a reasonable amount on 3 out of 5 of the players. They could have brought up a few rifles and seen what they could get done, but really, if they had lost that round, it would have left them in a bit of a sticky situation. So opting for that smarter play, going for the pistols, and a reasonable amount of utilities as well, so they might be able to make something work on this B-bomb site.
You never know with these Tech 9s, it's not as if it's a completely useless weapon.
Yeah.
One hit in the head can kill from medium to close range, as well as just putting out a lot of moving damage and a lot of moving targets in front of your faces, and the smoke will come in here from E-Frag, and the Molotov will come in to try and defend the site. Tempo Storm will just hold up, but they'll definitely be hitting this B site.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. The pop flash coming through. Lucas peeks around and he actually picks up the kill there onto Spy Leader. Great performance from him, getting that entry frag. Now down to Victor, the only player on that B-bomb site, spraying through the smoke. We'll be able to find Lucas, and you can see the reinforcements coming in from that A-bomb site for E-Frag. But importantly for Tempo Storm, they have managed to get that bomb down, and the timer is working in their favor.
And look at Phelps at the back of the site, boosted up with that M4. He's going to play a huge role here. Hopefully they don't get naded and Molotoved out of their position, because Phelps can make plays from here. He spots out the first one, gets him, gets the second one as well. Will he get the third? He does! It looks as though Phelps is closing this one out for Tempo Storm. He's already got a triple, just the one player remaining. Bubble on fire, needs to make it work, he can't. Phelps actually gets the quad kill from there. Brilliant finish to the half for Tempo Storm, and what a cracker of a game there. The Tempo Storm guys bringing that one home, and the Brazilians get a win on the board. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, 16-13 the scoreline there in the favor of Tempo Storm. So, I mean, it really went right down to the wire there. E-Frag putting up their best performance that they could get, but not enough in the end there up against Tempo Storm.
And, I mean, for me, E-Frag just let that one slip away.
Yeah.
And it was actually those couple of rounds on T side where Tempo Storm had the disadvantage coming in. The bomb plant was down for E-Frag. They had 3 players in decent post-plant positions, and yet Tempo Storm were able to come in and win those rounds. And ultimately, in a game that went to 16-13, made all the difference. And I just really impressed with Lucas in particular from Tempo Storm. He did a fantastic job, and they thoroughly deserved to come over the top of E-Frag there.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you spoke about the lack of Dreamer a fair bit throughout that map.
Yeah.
You know, the lack of being able to have one solid fragger on each bomb site. Victor really trying to pull his team through that one, but it wasn't enough. So Dreamer for you, do you think if they had him, they might have been able to close out that one against Tempo Storm?
I'm not sure that they would have been able to close that in that circumstance. Once the game had got to that level, I don't think that Dreamer would have made a difference. But particularly on T side, Dreamer's AK is very potent. So I don't believe they would have lost those 3vx situations with Dreamer on the team. Just the lack of communication, potentially, with the new player Punisher, even though he's played with them before, not in this real circumstance. So, yeah, I do feel for the E-Frag guys, but way more impressed with what I saw from Tempo Storm for such young, talented players. Alrighty,
guys, we want to help you guys join in on the conversation as well. Of course, you can tweet in towards us at, of course, the IEM Twitter. Use the hashtag IEM, and also visit facebook.com/IEM or youtube.com/ESL to get involved with all that social media.
Definitely. The more involved the community gets in all of these tournaments, and I guess reaching out to the players, and also, I guess, everything that we do here, I guess the better the experience is for everybody.
Yeah, it certainly is great to see everyone getting involved and getting all that, the conversation going. It's what we like to see. Everyone can really join in, and really makes a great community spirit. Obviously, as well, in terms of the community, we want to thank all of our sponsors. Intel, the main one here for the Intel Extreme Masters, as well as Zowie, HyperX, Gigabyte, and G2A. And there are, of course, a couple of other special mentions that we need to give out. The Score Esports, a great app that you guys can download. They give all sorts of stats, coverage, ladders, everything to do with IEM Katowice, and of course other tournaments across the globe. And you can check them out on the Chrome store, on the Google Play Store, or on the App Store of your mobile phone.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. And of course, the other sponsor, or not necessarily sponsor, but the other thing we want to mention is Players.tv. If you want to bring across some highlights for us, that of course we would have seen a lot of them in the last round, you can check out Players.tv on the Chrome store or Players.tv/Chrome. So that's, I guess, another good way to get that social media involved and bring across all that social aspects into the tournament.
Definitely. Victor would have got some great use out of that from his first half performance. Number of 3v1 clutches and barnstorming play from him. So he would have got got great use out of Players.tv.
Yeah, certainly would have. Of course, we will be very shortly heading towards a break. That was Tempo Storm up against E-Frag. Tempo picking that one up 16-13. But stay tuned. We will have some more Counter-Strike coming up very shortly.